What if the real secret to longevity isn't in your medicine cabinet, but something far more intimate? What if letting go of sex after 60 didn't just affect your love life, but quietly chipped away at your health, your joy, and even your sense of self? And what if, despite everything we've been told, physical intimacy was never meant to disappear with age, but to evolve and remain essential? Let's break a common myth. Many believe that after a certain age, sex becomes irrelevant, like an old photo album or a high school dance. It's something we look back on fondly, but no longer need. But that belief isn't just outdated, it can be harmful. As a doctor who's worked with older adults for decades, I can tell you from experience, sexual connection is not a luxury in your golden years. It's a lifeline. The early signs of losing that connection aren't always obvious. You might feel a little more tired getting out of bed. Your joints are stiffer than they used to be. A flight of stairs leaves you slightly breathless. You pause, thinking it's just age. But then the emotional shifts creep in. You begin to feel more alone, less seen, less connected. There's a subtle sense of drifting, like you're present, but fading from something deeper. This isn't just the natural passage of time. In many cases, it's the quiet, compounded cost of missing one of life's most healing experiences: physical intimacy. Before we go further, take a moment to subscribe and hit the bell so you never miss another video designed to help you thrive at every age. And if this speaks to you, drop a 1 in the comments. If not, leave a 0. Your feedback matters deeply to me. Now let's talk about something most people overlook: your heart. You see, sexual activity isn't just about pleasure or emotional connection. It's also physical medicine, especially for your heart. It may surprise you to hear this, but maintaining a healthy sex life in your 60s, 70s, and even 80s can function like a gentle form of cardio. When you're intimate, your body increases circulation, releases endorphins, and strengthens the cardiovascular system. Your blood pressure naturally drops. Your arteries stay more elastic. Your heart rate rises and falls in a rhythm that mimics exercise, and the science backs it up. Studies have shown that older adults who remain sexually active tend to have fewer heart-related complications, not because of frequency or intensity, but because of consistency and emotional connection. Think of it like this. If you stop walking every day, if you skip your medications, if you ignore your body's need for movement, what happens? Things begin to break down. In the same way, giving up on intimacy removes one of the most natural, powerful ways to maintain your body's vitality. Because your heart isn't just a muscle, it's an emotional organ. And just like it thrives on oxygen and nutrients, it also thrives on closeness, touch, affection, and connection. When you stop nurturing that part of yourself, your heart slowly starts to retreat. Not just physically, but emotionally. And the heart is just the beginning. Because in the next section, we'll explore how the absence of intimacy can quietly accelerate your physical decline, from your hormones to your muscles, in ways that often go unnoticed, until it's too late. We just talked about how intimacy strengthens your heart. But your heart isn't the only part of your body that thrives on connection. There's something else that begins to quietly change when physical intimacy fades: your strength, your posture, your very ability to move with confidence. 2. Your muscles and joints begin to lose vitality. When most people think about staying strong in old age, they imagine daily walks, a few light stretches, maybe a visit to the gym. But what if I told you that one of the most overlooked ways to maintain muscle tone and joint flexibility is through something far more enjoyable: regular sexual activity? Intimacy naturally activates multiple muscle groups. It encourages your body to move in ways that gently engage your core, legs, hips, and even your back. For seniors, this kind of full-body engagement can be surprisingly effective. It's not about intensity. It's about consistency and movement in a context that also nurtures emotional closeness. Without this regular engagement, the body starts to slow down. Muscles begin to weaken more quickly. Joints become stiffer. And mobility slowly declines. You might not notice it at first. A little more effort to get out of a chair, or less balance while walking. But over time, the absence of stimulation shows. And here's the deeper layer. Movement builds not just physical health, but confidence. The quiet strength you feel in your daily life, reaching, climbing, standing tall, often comes from habits that keep your body active. When intimacy disappears, so does a form of physical expression that reminds you you're still alive, still capable, still connected to your body. This disconnection can lead to a more sedentary lifestyle, and that becomes a hard cycle to break. But physical decline isn't the only concern. Because what if I told you that the brain, your memory, your sharpness, your emotional balance, also depends on the presence of intimacy? 3. Your brain takes a hit. Most people never link sex to brain health, but the connection is profound, especially in older age. During intimacy, your brain releases dopamine, oxytocin, and endorphins. These are not just feel-good chemicals. They are critical to mood regulation, stress reduction, and most importantly, cognitive function. Think of it this way. Each intimate experience is like a mental spark. It lights up the neural pathways, keeps your brain active, and helps sharpen your memory. For seniors who are often fighting off brain fog or early cognitive decline, these moments of connection can be incredibly protective. But when intimacy fades, the brain loses access to these natural benefits. Over time, it can lead to increased anxiety, deeper loneliness, even early signs of depression and memory loss. Without that emotional and physical closeness, your brain begins to quiet down. Not in peace, but in retreat. Just like your body, your brain needs movement. It needs stimulation. And intimacy, both emotional and physical, is one of the most natural ways to exercise it. Neglect this part of your life, and you're not just losing touch with your partner. You're losing the spark that makes you feel fully human. Fully alive. But what happens when that emotional connection disappears completely? What are the invisible consequences when we no longer feel truly seen by our partner? That's what we'll uncover next. We've seen how physical intimacy supports your body, your brain, even your sleep. But perhaps the most fragile and most often overlooked area it protects is the heart's emotional core. 4. Emotional intimacy begins to fade. As we grow older, we crave connection more than ever. But without touch, without physical closeness, even the strongest emotional bonds can begin to weaken. Because sex isn't just about the physical. It's about trust, affection, vulnerability. It's a sacred space where two people say, without words, I still choose you. When that fades, something subtle but powerful begins to shift. Couples start to feel like roommates, managing routines, sharing a home, but no longer sharing their hearts. Conversations grow predictable. The spark that once made you feel desired, seen, and safe begins to flicker. And for many seniors, this fading connection turns into a silent loneliness, one that can exist even within a long-standing relationship. And loneliness isn't just an emotion. It's a health risk. It's been linked to depression, higher blood pressure, inflammation, and even a weakened immune system. Emotional intimacy thrives on simple gestures, gentle touch, lingering eye contact, shared space, warm silence. And sex, even in its gentlest form, is one of the most powerful ways to maintain that closeness. When we let go of it, we often let go of one of the deepest emotional anchors in our lives. And yet, many don't even realize what's missing until the distance has already settled in. But here's something unexpected. Restoring that connection doesn't just heal your relationship. It might also be the secret to the most peaceful sleep you've had in years. 5. Sleep becomes a struggle. As we age, good sleep becomes more elusive. We blame stress, hormones, the mattress, anything but intimacy. But science tells a different story. After sexual release, your body naturally produces prolactin, a hormone that induces relaxation and signals to your brain, it's time to rest. At the same time, oxytocin, the cuddle hormone, is released, calming the nervous system, lowering anxiety, and easing you into deeper, more restorative sleep. For many older adults, sleep becomes a nightly battle, tossing, turning, waking up exhausted despite medication. But perhaps the missing ingredient isn't in a pill bottle. It's in the absence of closeness, touch, connection. Because when intimacy fades, so do these natural chemical reactions. Your body stays tense. Your mind won't settle. You wake up tired, irritable, and drained. And this matters more than just getting your 8 hours. Restorative sleep supports your memory, your immune system, your emotional balance. In other words, the loss of sexual intimacy doesn't just disrupt your night, it affects your entire life. But even beyond sleep, there's something even more personal at risk. Something that defines how you see yourself, how you carry yourself, how you feel in your own skin. 6. Self-esteem and confidence begin to decline. Aging already challenges how we view ourselves. Wrinkles appear, muscles soften, the mirror becomes harder to look at. But nothing erodes confidence more quietly than the loss of physical intimacy. When you're no longer touched, no longer desired, no longer invited into that vulnerable space of connection, it's easy to start feeling invisible. Over time, many seniors begin to believe that their best days are behind them. That love, attraction, passion, those things are for the young. But that belief is a lie. Physical intimacy, no matter how gentle or infrequent, sends powerful emotional signals. You are still desirable. You are still alive. You still matter. Without those signals, self-doubt creeps in. You start avoiding mirrors. You hold back from reaching out to your partner. Not because you don't care, but because you don't feel worthy. But reclaiming this part of yourself, reopening that door to closeness, can rebuild confidence in ways that change everything. Your smile becomes brighter, your posture straighter, your energy lighter. And while a damaged self-image weighs heavy on the heart, the impact of lost intimacy doesn't stop there. Because what fades next is something far deeper. Something that affects how well your body can protect you from the inside out. Let's look at what happens when intimacy disappears, and your immune system begins to pay the price. We've seen how intimacy shapes your emotions, your rest, and your sense of self. But the impact doesn't stop there. In fact, the next two truths reveal how deeply physical connection affects your body's defense system and your resilience in the face of stress. 7. Your immune system weakens. When people think of boosting immunity, they reach for vitamins, herbal tea, or maybe a brisk walk. But what rarely comes to mind is sex. And yet, especially in later years, regular sexual activity has been scientifically linked to stronger immune function. How? Through increased production of immunoglobulin A, or IgA, a powerful antibody that plays a key role in defending the body against colds, infections, and everyday viruses. Intimacy also supports balanced hormone levels, reduces systemic inflammation, and promotes healthier cellular activity throughout the body. When we lose that regular physical connection, those hormonal and neurological boosts disappear as well, and the immune system slowly starts to lose its edge. Not in a dramatic, overnight way, but gradually, subtly. You may start catching more colds. You feel run down more often. Your recovery times get longer, and you might not link it to intimacy at all. But restoring a healthy sex life is more than just uplifting. It's protective. It's a joyful, natural way to keep your defenses strong from the inside out. It's one of nature's most enjoyable forms of preventive medicine. But if you think it ends with your immune system, think again. Because what happens next cuts even deeper. 8. Stress and anxiety increase. As we age, the shape of our stress changes. Maybe it's no longer work deadlines, but worries about health, family, finances, or simply the passage of time. What many people don't realize is that sexual intimacy is one of the most powerful natural stress relievers available. During sexual activity, the brain releases a cascade of calming hormones, dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, that ease anxiety, soothe the nervous system, and promote emotional balance. These aren't just mood enhancers, they're your body's built-in tools for coping with pressure, worry, and emotional overload. But when intimacy fades, that chemical safety net fades. With it, stress builds up, sleep suffers, small worries begin to spiral, and before you know it, restlessness, irritability, or physical symptoms like headaches and muscle tightness start showing up uninvited. What you may think is just getting older could, in fact, be the absence of one of your body's most effective calming systems. The truth is, the loss of intimacy doesn't just leave a hole in your relationship. It leaves your mind and body more exposed to life's everyday pressures. without the buffer they once had. But as serious as that sounds, there's one more consequence left. One that touches the deepest part of this journey. Your ability to function, to feel, and to believe that it's still possible. Let's talk about it. Conclusion. Reconnect, reignite, rediscover. 9. The body forgets. The old saying goes, use it or lose it. And when it comes to sexual function, it's true. Just like unused muscles begin to shrink, your body's ability to respond physically starts to fade when it's no longer engaged. For men, this may look like weaker erections or slower arousal. For women, it can mean increased dryness, discomfort, or reduced sensitivity. These changes aren't sudden. They happen little by little, until one day intimacy feels awkward, or even impossible. But it doesn't have to stay that way. Staying sexually active helps preserve blood flow, nerve response, and tissue elasticity. Even gentle, affectionate forms of intimacy remind the body how to respond. Avoiding it, on the other hand, reinforces decline. And while the body plays a part, the mind is the most powerful sexual organ of all. Which brings us to the most important truth. You can begin again. Right now. No matter your age. Start with communication. Be honest with your partner. Share how you feel, what you've missed, and what you hope to rebuild together. Vulnerability opens the door to real reconnection. If physical challenges stand in your way, speak with your doctor. There are solutions. Safe, simple, effective, that can support your return to intimacy. Start small. A touch, a cuddle, a shared moment of presence. These little acts build a bridge, back to your partner, back to yourself. If you're single, don't overlook the power of self-connection. Stay in tune with your body. Know that desire is still yours to claim. You haven't aged out of intimacy. You've simply waited for the moment to rediscover it. And that moment is now. Rebuilding connection doesn't require perfection. It only asks that you begin, with patience, openness, and care. One touch, one conversation, one day at a time. Because the truth about aging and intimacy is this. Growing older doesn't mean letting go of connection. It means deepening it. It means embracing your worth, your vitality, and the simple truth that love and closeness are not bound by age. Let go of the myth that intimacy is for the young. You are still here, still vibrant, still capable of joy, desire, and deep connection. So reconnect, reignite, rediscover. Not just more years, but more life, more love, more you. And if this message touched something inside you, I invite you to share it. Leave a comment with the number 1 if this resonated, or 0 if there's something more you'd like us to explore. Like, share, and subscribe for more content made just for you. Thank you for watching. Here's to living fully, deeply, and unapologetically on your own terms.